Okay, so wheels are done. Aaron's filling up the buckets, so we're gonna fill it up with Adam's car shampoo, car soap. I'm gonna pressure wash off the car to blow off all the stuff, all the polish residue stuff as much as we can, and then the gritty sand particles. Then I'm gonna foam the car, and then we're gonna gently wash it just to get some of the polish residue off, get it clean, get it prepped, get it ready for polish. So I'm not going to film that. You know what? You've already seen me pressure wash a bunch. So the car's been foamed. We have Adam's car shampoo, which is currently running off the paint. We got Adam's car shampoo and then a bucket with just plain water. So we're going to gently dial this in. Where's that thing? We let it sit until we get a little. So now just be extra careful with, I mean, there's no dirt on the paint. So all we're doing is trying to get that extra layer of oil off the surface. So you can just be super gentle. Last thing you want to do is introduce some scratches after all that work we just did to get them all out, if there were any, which there really weren't. So I'm sure, you know, some people are thinking, well, if you don't have any scratches, why in the world would you mess with it? Why would you polish it? Well, you know, polishing does some cleaning too. And the other thing I get a lot of questions of, people are always nervous that, well, shoot, man, you can't polish that many times, you're gonna blow through the paint. Well, you could probably do that polish we just did, I don't know, 500 times before you blew through the clear coat. So I wouldn't worry too much about it if I were you, especially if you're using something as mildly abrasive as Menzerna SF 4000. So I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't worry too much about messing up the paint. Sorry, this whole video I've been kind of talking to two sets of people. I think everybody knows who I'm talking to. There's some other point that I had to make, but I can't remember what it was. So after this, we're going to obviously spray off the soap, dry off the car. I think we're done. Did you do this side? I did that side, we're done.
Did you get the corner? Or no?
Yeah. So do your thing with the buckets, and let me put these back inside. As I was saying, we're gonna dry the car. I'm gonna spray the car off. We're gonna dry the car best we can. I'm decided we're gonna put, rather than auto finesse, I'm gonna do my old standby just to see which one I like better. I haven't done both. Menzerna Power Lock topped with the very inexpensive yet unbelievably awesome Collonite 845. So we're gonna do that on this car today. What I'll probably do is I'm gonna put 2 coats of Collonite on the car. I'll explain that process. We're gonna do that. I'll put the second coat on tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna spray the car off, or we'll dry it off, and then we'll come back to you and talk about Menzerna Power Lock. There's one other quick thing I wanted to do before I forget, is I wanna clean the door jambs. So I got some Adams APC not the door jambs, the rubber trim. So I got some Adams APC, spray it around on all the rubber. You know, you probably shouldn't put OptiCoat on and then 3 hours later be messing with it, but I don't care. We'll see what happens with it. So I guess my case study of doing OptiCoat on the B-pillars is probably completely negated by the fact that I just washed the car a couple hours later. Get a little sponge. I just want to get kind of the edge of the dirt off of this because I do want to do some what's it called? Wolf's trim coat on the trim because it's looking a little shabby. Here, spray me. So just slap some Adams APC on there. We're going to wipe this down with isopropyl alcohol as well. And my trim's not in bad shape anyway, so you can see though, there's plenty of junk coming off of here. See my sponge. Just taking these little extra detail steps, I think is what makes the difference. It's just really hard to convince yourself to do them when you're so far and you're so deep into this. See that thing? Because we got to do the trim and the glass. We'll see if we can convince Aaron to hang around that long. He says he's in it for the long haul, but we'll see. It's already 5 o'clock. We didn't start till 11 though, so normally when I do a detail, what I'll do is I'll wash the car, clay the car like Friday afternoon, night, and then I'll come back to it in the morning and then polish it. But today we're doing it all at once because I wanted to take everybody through. I wanted to figure out my microphone. 2, I wanted to take everybody through the whole process and wanted to take Aaron through the whole process as well. Plus use his help rather than try to do it all myself. All right, so
I'm not just used to it or something.
we finished, well, we're going to put some tire dressing on. So we finished washing the car. I cleaned the trim. The trim looks a lot different. Just doing that one quick swipe of Adams. Kind of cleaned off the residual junk from the old Wolf's on here. So now I'm going to we'll put a new coat on here after we wipe this down. So we're going to dry off the car, and you need to be really careful when we're drying it off because again, we don't introduce. We're on our final step here. There's nothing on the paint. There's no protection. So we need to get that done immediately. What I should have done here, I don't know what I was thinking, but I OptiCoated this, but it looks like it's okay. The water beaded right off of it, but normally you're supposed to let it sit for like a couple days before you mess with it. So we're gonna dry this off gently, and then we're gonna wipe it down with isopropyl alcohol to get the last bit of residual off, and then we're gonna do Manzarno Power Lock, which is a sealant. So make sure that we don't use, so let's try out these are our new fancy, it's called Dry Me Crazy. This is like a $30 towel. It's our new fancy microfiber madness towel. So let's, oh yeah, nice and soft. Let's use these. We should be able to dry the whole car with just these 2 towels. You could probably dry the whole car with 1 towel. So again, you don't want to buff the crap out of the paint. You just want to take it nice and gently. There's some little, you'll see usually some little water bubbles, some little water spots on the paint. We'll get that off here in a second with the IPA. I mixed right at the limit. Never had a problem, but at around 25% IPA solution. So 25% IPA, 75% water, give or take. What the heck is that on the window? Get that off in a second. So wipe it down with care, and I'll show you the IPA step here in a minute. There's no reason to waste hard drive space. All right, guys, final steps coming up here. We're gonna IPA the car. Just spray it down. You don't have to get it soaking wet, but you spray like the top quarter or so down, top half, and then kind of do sections. I like to do the top, like the windows, the roof, and then so treat that as one section, and then we'll treat the front clip, and then we'll do the door. So like break the car up into like 6 sections. Are these fresh and clean? Okay. Use a clean towel. Check it to make sure there's nothing sticking out. It's just sort of a last step to get the remaining oils off the polish to make the surface really sticky and ready for the sealant that we're about to put on. So then what I'll usually do is have one wet towel and one dry towel and kind of get the last little remnants of junk off the paint. We're dialed in. Next time I do the car, I'll probably polish the windows. I need to get some seri glass. There really is only one polish in the world that you want to use, in my opinion, for glass, and it's CarPro seri glass. I had a little sample of it, but glass polishing is kind of more cleaning than anything, because to polish glass, to actually make any meaningful impact on it, you have to polish for hours. Just sit there and hold the thing. So we're getting the last remaining stuff off the paint. We're ready for power lock. For some reason, I hate doing the front bumper.
Yeah,
I think there's just
so much
Yeah, I like
little
big.
pieces
I like big body panels, just easier. Maybe I should start liking classic cars. I just don't. All right, so we'll do the doors and the rear, and then we'll start treating everything. Oh, the other thing I'm gonna do, and I'll spare you this on the video, but I'll do some quick window cleaner on the windows just as a final step before we do the treating the windows, and I'll show you what that looks like. So we're gonna coat the windows now. Well, maybe a window, because we're kind of running out of Wolf's. So they stopped importing Wolf's chemicals, so I need to figure out where I'm gonna get it. I love this stuff. It's undetectable on the windows, doesn't streak, doesn't smear, tends to last forever. I probably put it on more than I even need to. But what we do is cut off a small piece of microfiber. Gonna pull off the little fray pieces, and we take a tiny bit of Wolf's glass guard. We put it on our microfiber, a few drops, and then we make little baby circles like this. Little baby circles. Let me see your thing. Just bling, 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 bling. That's all you need. And try not to miss any spots. So make little baby circles in straight lines. We don't have to do this with the rest of the car, by the way, only the windows. So if you're getting nervous about having to make baby circles on the entire car, don't be, because we're not doing that. Yeah, I think we'll be able to finish up the whole car with this. So what we'll do is we'll put this on, let it haze, let it sit. Then we'll throw on the Manzurna power lock, take that off. Then we'll let that sit. While that's sitting, after we've removed it, we'll then clean the windows. I usually like to let the power lock sit for about an hour, so you should probably let it sit for a little longer before we put the wax on. You're gonna need a little bit more. I'll let you do the hard side. It's hard to see where you're at.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
There, I did under this windshield wiper. But just pull up the windshield wiper and do underneath it. Stuff's like magic. So that's how you do the windows. So you can see, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but there's, you're making little baby circles, overlapping circles. Do the whole window. You could put 2 coats on if you want. I've never had to. It's a little difficult to remove. I end up using window cleaner and buffing it out. And usually the first couple of times you drive, you'll have to, it'll take 2 or 3 washes to really clean out completely. You'll see a little bit of these circles, but not anything that isn't worth the effort, because then water just slides right off the windows and it lasts forever. You can see the windows are all nice and hazy now. You let that sit. I'm going to do the trim real quickly. First thing I'm going to do with the trim, no, you can throw that away. First thing I'm going to do with the trim is wipe it down with some 91% alcohol. And then we'll put Wolf's trim coat. So the only 2 Wolf's products I use, I bought and have a bunch of them, is the trim coat and glass sealant. You want to try to avoid hitting the glass with your, see how much black, see how much dirt is on there. To me, there's nothing better than nice, clean rubber. Normally I do the, actually now that I think about it, normally I do the trim before I do the windows. Now I remember why. So if you're watching this video, pro tip, do the trim first. Look at that, crazy. You're really supposed to wipe the trim until it stops making black, but I'm too lazy to do that. We're not doing that. Flip my towel. Do the same thing over here. Not as dirty. You can see that. This side. So traditionally, when I'm doing this by myself, I am nowhere near this stage. This is normally day 2 stuff. And I'll put a good 8 to 10, sometimes 12 hours in, and I'll have to finish this last couple hours of stuff up the next day. Detailing is not for the faint of heart. All right, super dirty, now relatively clean. Clean enough for me. Put some trim coat on. I also like this trim coat stuff a lot. I've seen some tests and they don't, the Wolf stuff doesn't hold up as well. I just like the way it looks. It's a nice satin, clean finish that lasts for 6 months or so. Doesn't attract dirt. So I got to figure out, if anybody knows where I can get some, let me know, because I need some more. So the trick, well, there is no trick to this. You layer it on, or lay it on, and then I'll come back over with a towel and wipe it out to smooth out the excess. See, I'm still not as clean as I'd like to be. In the interest of time. And there's diminishing returns. I could keep cleaning it. Oh, the other thing with this Wolf stuff that nothing else I've ever used does is it does a fantastic job if you get wax or you get some polish on your plastic trim. I mean, I've read all kinds of things about using peanut butter and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. None of that worked, but this stuff will mask it, will cover it up. So then I just drag this over gently, come back, hit a couple of spots if I missed anywhere, just to kind of smooth it out, and then it'll sit and it'll dry, and it looks very uniform. Nice quality satin finish. It's not streaky and weird looking like some. Almost forgot to do the window trim thing here. And you don't need to use a ton of this stuff. I mean, I think this bottle's like 40 bucks, so you want to use it, I don't want to say sparingly, but you don't want to just start dumping it on a sponge. I've had this for, I think, 3 years now, this bottle, so maybe longer. You could put multiple coats on. I just like to hit it again as I'm wiping it. Stuff's amazing. Very simple, very subtle, but you know, nice and satin. Nice satin finish. You know, a lot of people, they use like Armor All and stuff that has tons of silicates and silicone and other weird, you know, materials, wood fillers and stuff. And usually what that stuff ends up doing is attracting more dirt, or yeah, more dirt and dust. So the stuff you find at your auto parts store just isn't the same as, you know, when I'm using all different brands, all different kinds of, all companies, trying to find the best products. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have any experience, you're much better off using a full system. Use like Ammo New York or Griot's Garage or something. Just find someone that has a full system and use it. Now, I've been doing this a long time, so I've kind of figured out what I like and what I don't. And I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on trying different products. Different techniques, screwing things up, trying to fix it, screwing it up again. Now I have a process that works really well. So, you know, you want to make sure that you're using good stuff, but, you know, I'm a big proponent of it really doesn't matter what you use. I mean, you can have personal preferences, but, so it doesn't matter if you like, I don't know, Meguiar's polish and I like Menzerna. You know, they're both good, they both do well. I don't disagree there. I just happen to have personal preferences, and I haven't tried everything on the planet, so I don't think it really matters as much what you use. It's about finding a grouping of products and procedures that work, where your paint is not swirled, scratched, messed up, where you can do it in a reasonable amount of time. Of course, everybody's definition of reasonable is a little different. My definition of reasonable is probably a little bit looser than the average person. And then just find a process that works, and then be willing to try other, you know, new things, try new products. I'm not saying the products I use are the absolute best. I happen to think they are because I've tried a lot of things, but I also have tried everything. I've made, you know, recently made the switch. What have I started using recently that I haven't used? Oh, I'd used Adams' Super VRT for the tires forever, and I recently made the switch to CarPro Pearl, per suggestion of another detailing junkie. There's some rubber trim here too that I'm just darkening up. So notice I am hitting the windows a little bit, no big deal. It's not gonna cause any problems with the windows later. Make sure you get that off the paint. All right, now comes the fun part. Last step. Okay, so like I'd mentioned earlier, we're gonna do Menzerna Power Lock, topped with Collonite 845, super cheap combo. Can't afford this, and you can't afford the detail. I think this will probably last about 15 years, this Power Lock. And then this Collonite will probably last even longer. This is like 11 bucks. What I had on the car before was the $200 Auto Finesse Desire. And what I want to do is have this on, I actually think, you know, for my memory of what I had this on my E92 M3. I actually think I prefer this combo to the super expensive wax. So I want to have the expensive wax in my Porsche and then have the cheaper stuff on the cheap car, relatively speaking. All right. There's one for you, one for me. We don't need a ton of this stuff, just about that much. And then put it on. So here you can go in circles, you can go in straight lines, you can do whatever the heck you want. Just get it on the car and don't miss any spots. Start at the top, work your way down. A little goes a long way. You don't have to use this power lock as sparingly as you'd want to use on a wax, but you don't need to slop it on. So what I tend to do is leave it on, put it on, and by the time I finish the other side of the car, I'm starting to wipe it off.
On the body as well, or?
Yeah. Yeah, you can put on everything except for the windows.
Okay.
We're gonna do the headlights, the tail lights, the trim, the whole deal. So like each section, we're doing like a section of the roof. Each, probably 2 foot by 2 foot section, then you add a little bit more and just spread it around evenly. And this stuff comes off really smoothly. It's easy to get off. The Collonite's not bad either, but some waxes are really difficult to get off the car. The key to this, when you're doing this, is just remember what you hit and don't miss spots. Like right here.
Yeah, didn't move back
Okay, all right, just testing you.
Yeah.
So you don't need like super pressure, you just want enough pressure just to keep it moving and get it on. I need 2 bottles of this. If I'm gonna have someone helping me detail all the time, I'm gonna have to start thinking about, which I'm sure my wife's gonna love, me ordering more stuff. I'm gonna have to start thinking about ordering doubles of everything. All right. Just throw it on the tail lights too. So you guys get the idea. Let's polish up the rest of the car, power lock the rest of the car, and then we'll wipe it off. I'll show you what that looks like. So we're on the home stretch here. So we just finished. It took us what? 8 minutes to do the whole car between the 2 of us. It's pretty well set up. I think the power lock is a wipe on, wipe off anyway, so you can probably just wipe it off right away, but I always let it sit for a few minutes. Forget what the container says. Yeah, allow to dry to a haze and then remove. So you wanna let it dry. So then we just go back to where we started. By the time we get to the end, it's all dry and hazed. See how easy this stuff comes off? It just glides off. Glides off. The Collonite that we're going to put on top of this won't come off quite as easily. And the stuff on the windows is a lot harder to get off. Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? It's amazing. Makes it all almost worth it. Till the first day you drive outside and it rains and gets all nasty. So what we need to do is we need to let this sit for a little bit. can't put the, probably shouldn't put the, let it bond with the paint before we put the wax on top. I mean, not a long time, but 45 minutes or so. So let's dial in the rest of the car. We'll get the windows clean after we get this wiped off. Yeah, remember why I love this stuff so much. So easy to get off, so easy to apply, so easy to get off, and it feels incredible. By itself though, Power Lock, I never liked. It doesn't last very long, at least not in Florida. Maybe it does in other parts of the world, but I only get maybe 3 months worth of beading out of it. It beads like nothing else, but I don't get enough time for my preference. So wipe it down, clean it off, and then we're going to clean the windows. I'm not going to show you that. You're big boys. You can figure out how to wipe off. We're going to do the same thing with the ultra fancy Collonite insulator wax. No one really knows what this stuff is. It's not a carnauba. It's almost sort of a hybrid wax sealant. Let me push this in here. But this stuff, but this stuff, I was like, what am I doing? What's going on here? A little of this stuff goes a long way. Shake this back up. So we'll do the same thing. We put the wax on, and then we'll do the whole car, and then we'll wipe it off. Watch, because it's pretty runny. Oh, it's like putting it on a polished diamond. Yeah, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Put that on the ground.
Oh, okay. I was like, wanting to sit there, but then I didn't something.
Nice thin coat. The thicker you put this on, the harder it is to get off. So we don't need a big, thick, heavy layer. Nothing special. Circles, wax on, wax off. Now, Collonite will have a tendency in the summer to sort of sweat, so you have to, I don't think it'll do it now, but where it will, some of it will sort of will sort of bleed to the surface after we wipe it off, like after when the car's sitting out in the sun. And you just have to buff it off again. Usually wait till your next wash to do that. So we're gonna put this on. By the time we get back around to finish up, we'll be able to wipe it off. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So we're wiping off the remainder, or wiping off the wax. Test out one of my new towels. So we're taking the wax off the car. It's only been sitting on for what? A few minutes. That's all you need. So let's sort of recap this whole process. So we started out by washing the car, getting the heavy stuff off, bugs and all that. So we pressure wash the car. Or you're not really pressure washing the car, you're just kind of spraying off the dirt. And then we foam the car with the all-purpose cleaner / citrus-based chemical guys wash. And then we blew the car off, just blew off the heavy stuff. We did the we did the iron out then, right? Take the iron out of the paint. Then we just blew the car off again, drove it in to the garage, auto scrubbed it, / clay barred it. I clay barred the rear to, because the rear bumper tends to get more junk on it than other areas of the car. So I clay barred and auto scrubbed some of the detailed spots while Aaron did the big panels for us. Then we pulled the car out, rinsed it off. Then we really dried it. We cleaned the door jambs, dried the paint, blew out all the spots, tried to get all the water out of everywhere. Then we did the B-pillars, opti-coated those, which is probably a mistake. You probably want to wait and opti-coat them after. I wanted to get something on them before we did a washing after the polish, but that's how we did it. It's not the biggest deal in the world because the B-pillars are probably going to scratch up again anyway. So we then taped off the car, taped off the windows and any area that should be taped off, all the trim, taped that off, polished it with a Uber foam finishing or regular polishing, medium polishing pad, but finished down with that. So we finished and jeweled the paint with that. Then after that we pulled all the tape off. Aaron wiped down the polish while I was polishing. See, you don't want to let the polish sit there. You want it off the paint as quickly as possible. Unlike the wax or the sealant where you want to kind of let it cure and then wipe it off. So then after that we pulled it out again for our third or so wash. I kind of lose count. So we washed the car with, actually we did the wheels then, wheels, tires, cleaned those, and we foamed the car with regular Adams shampoo, Adams soap, regular car soap. Then did a good drying of the car, but be careful not to scratch the paint. So we dried up all the jams, all the spots where water could spill out. Then we treated the windows. Oh no, then we did the IPA wipe down, the isopropyl alcohol wipe down prior to our last step, LSP, which is a dual step in, we're doing both the power lock and then we're finishing off, wiping off the Collonite right now. So after that, after the IPA wipe down, we treated the windows with Wolf's glass guard. I just got it backwards. You do the trim first. So treat your trim first, then do the windows. It really doesn't matter as much, but we did with Wolf's trim coat after we wiped the rubber. We wiped it down with just straight 91% alcohol IPA. Then we put our Menzerna power lock on, wiped the power lock off, then wiped the windows, let the power lock sit for about an hour, had some dinner, or a second lunch, I guess you could say, and then we're now doing the final coat of Collonite and then wiping it off shortly after. Yes, second to last coat of Collonite. So I'm going to do one tomorrow morning real quickly. I'll have to wipe the pollen off, but it should be okay. So the last thing I did was dress the tires, which I just did a few minutes ago, and we're done. So we are, with the two of us, we're about 8.5 hours in, 9 hours in, something like that. So that's about what you expect. So if you're doing this yourself, I would add at least 4 hours, at least half of that. So maybe more, depending on if you've done this before or not. Now keep in mind, I'm setting up the camera and stuff. That does take a little bit of time. But we have 2 people helping, 2 people wiping, 2 people applying the wax, 2 people helping with polishing and nano scrub. It is a lot easier. So the car is buttery smooth. I mean, incredibly smooth. And it'll stay this way for about 4 months. Then it'll start to pick up some contaminants and stuff, but it'll still bead water. So I'm guessing I'll get 6 to 8 months out of this application. I like to put the second coat on. It just makes me feel a little better. And then I'll get it out in the sun after I put the second coat on and just kind of look from different angles to get the rest of the stuff off. And remember, if you use Collonite, it will most likely kind of sweat or sort of resurface, and you'll have to just kind of buff it off after your first wash. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate the time.